Hello and welcome to lesson number 54 in our current micro-series in Lockdown 3. It's the 26th of March 2021 today, and we're going to be looking at study number 54 in the Book of 60 by Feuillard. This study describes itself as one for the change of place of the left hand in higher positions. Now it's an interesting, rather long-winded description and not all that accurate. So in actual fact it's about going from lower positions to higher positions at quite big distances on the 3 or 4 strings. So we're not actually involving the C string in this particular study. And on first glance it looks like they're all going to be octaves. So it's in C major and it's fairly predictable. The idea. And so there we are, pretty much the first 8 bars is going to be a kind of fairly predictable octave rise and fall. And then we're moving on to other strings, and you might expect something similar on each string, but actually no, it's slightly different. So we start to have a few slightly wider intervals of tenths, and then more surprisingly, odd enough, is this shorter intervals of sixths and fourths and thirds. You know, it's surprising because your ear isn't going to necessarily expect all these things. So we, for example, in bar 12, that kind of smaller, coming in on itself kind of interval. And then as we go up and down these middle 2 strings in those, the kind of idea of getting smaller intervals, wider intervals, and when we return to the A string, initially it's fairly predictable and quite a pretty little phrase, and then slightly less predictable as we're getting these tenths coming in again. For example, let me just find a bar number for you, 30. So we have quite a high register there of the 10th rising, and for example coming back here we've got a 9th falling back, so a little bit more challenging on your oral expectation, and consequently of course that's all interlinked with the brain's ability to make your hand move to the right note. You need to know what you want to hear in order to gauge that. Other tips in terms of how we cope with these moves is that you need to have a fairly high upper arm on the left arm there, so that you really truly can, unimpeded, travel up and down the length of the fingerboard. And you know, you might be quite well placed to have a go at just doing some swoops with a soft fist, where I get my thumb kept out in a similar way to where we move in thumb position, up and down the length of the fingerboard there. And you just notice then how the arm needs to be placed in order not to be bumping into the shoulder there. It's marked lento, and I think the idea of that is to try and keep a kind of calmness to it, and be very involved in each of those shifts. It does mean, of course, that the move itself we're wanting to aim to be fairly quick. Maybe even a bit quicker than that, to try and eradicate potential glissando. So keeping cool, calm and collected, and allowing the flow of your hand with your own breath. Let's give it a try. C major is the key. breathing. Remember, your bow is your breath, and that might help you feel the left hand can breathe as it glides backwards and forwards.